afternoon with you all. Those 8 hours were awfully important. And I thank you, Mr. Chair and Representative Legg, for a good presentation and accommodate our questions and amendments. And I would just indicate that as we look at the bill, we really tried to, with our amendments, make the bill better. And I hope that, as we go ahead with the bill and you're going to hear my position on it, that you give some credibility and some credence to our amendments, because they really were given in the best light and in the best attempt to try to make a bill that has some blemishes on this Cinderella a little bit better. At the same time, I'm an educator, and you all made me very proud today. Just to say that I'm an old special educator, and you can probably look at me and tell that. But it's a special day when I can have teachers come and share what they are doing in the classroom. And when you look back on your experience, sometimes you say, and we talked about learning gain and some other things, and what can you measure? I'm here probably because of a teacher I had in 4th grade, 9 years old. My parents divorced. Somehow that teacher knew that something wasn't right in my life. So she kept me after school, and that's back when we had blackboards, and you had to clean erasers and so forth. But she knew if I was going home, I was going to be in trouble. And so she took the time to not only include me in cleaning up and helping in the classroom, but she took time to teach me other kinds of things. And I will never forget that. Her name was Mrs. Savage, and she has been a big part of my life. So what I am today, I really do owe, not only to all my teachers, but to that very special lady. Now, when we talked about this bill, and a lot of people have added a lot of things in here, I still want to go back and really zero in on some things that really I think are weaknesses in this bill. And I hope that my colleagues here and others, when we get to the floor, will give some attention to them. One is that there's no incentives provided in this bill for those who aspire to be teachers. In fact, we've zeroed out funding for scholarships and forgivable loan programs that were designed to attract people into education, including mid-career career changers and so forth, who would teach in our critical shortage areas, math, science, and in special education. And if you look at the data, there's about 4,716 individuals who participated in these programs in 2009. We also heard, and even though we used the word may, but districts are really prohibited from basing a good portion of their educator salary on knowledge gained through obtaining an advanced degree. And I don't know of too many professions, folks, that do not reward individuals for advanced degrees. And you've heard the testimony from Hillsborough County Public Schools. I want to applaud them because they elected to continue awarding some compensation to teachers for advanced degrees. A strongly held belief by that school system that continual education is an important aim. And I think there's no wonder that the Gates Foundation found that school system worthy of the kind of grant that they got. There's another factor that they put in there, and that is the whole factor of experience. And experience is critically important. There's the old story about the guy asked the banker, what do you attribute your success to? And the guy says 2 words. And what are those 2 words? Right decisions. Well, what do you attribute that to? And the answer was 1 word, experience. And experience is awfully important, but we're trying to weed it out here for some reason as we look at teacher compensation and trying to reward teachers and move them forward. We also have let out in this bill the chance to really reward those teachers who go for National Board Professional Teaching Standards. I had the ability to work on the Special Needs Standards Task Force that developed the Special Needs Standard. Those are rigorous, folks, and those individuals who put themselves up for that really deserve the kind of recognition and the monetary kind of reward that exposure to that kind of rigor deserves. Salary increases for teachers and administrators are tied to student performance on yet-to-be-determined tests. And we talked a lot about the value added and so forth. And I think that's something that a lot of people have already raised up here as questions. There's a lot to be determined in this bill. And I think as it moves forward, we've got to try to tie some of these things together. All service providers who provide education to teachers, I don't think, are on the same level playing field. There seems to be things in the bill that looks at Teach for America differently than what they look at our colleges of education. I don't think that's fair. I think they ought to all be on the same kind of level playing field. And we need to look at that. And then kind of summarizing up here, not too long ago, this legislature convened a special session to discuss securing stimulus dollars for railroads. And yet, when it comes to something like as serious as reforming education, something that touches every community and every school in this state, we find it necessary to do it in the House by one committee and one council. And thank goodness for the 8 hours that we got today, because without it, it would not have been a good way to proceed. But think about it, special session for railroads that don't touch everybody in the state, and only a committee meeting and do it internally in-house for something that touches everybody in this state, our educational system. You asked me, reform, and we talked about reform here. Reform to stick and last, and it's been mentioned a couple times by speakers out there, has to be done in a collaborative fashion. All the stakeholders have to be around the table, and they all have to buy in. And that is why I think the Hillsborough system gives us a chance, because one of the things they ask is say, okay, Heller, if you don't like this bill, what's the alternative? Well, I think the alternative is the model that we see in Hillsborough County. They have gotten their act together. They value experience. They value their children. They value their parents and their businesses. But most importantly, that you hear it here presented by them, is they value. That's so important. This bill right now puts too many people against each other. So what I'm asking, and what I hope happens, is that we back off a little bit, that we do take and give it the kind of celebration and review that it needs in order to improve it. Because to really reform education and to do it right, it's going to take time, and it's going to take some very serious review. And what I say also, let's do it together. The important thing that we've learned from Hillsborough, and I think that you saw maybe also in the race to the top, you got to have collaboration. And that's what right now we do not have. So let's do it together, my colleagues and I, and when we get on the floor, and we'll listen to you, and we try to incorporate that. But we need to come up with a collaborative piece of legislation that's going to be right for the children of this state, and it's going to really indeed move our future forward, for whether it's business or whether it's for us as individual parents and persons who want our children to grow up to have the right kind of chance. And I value the time that you've all given me today, and I know my colleagues value it. And I definitely value all your time, and I appreciate your being here. So thank you, Mr. Chair.